Now, most of us in the room, at one time or another, have taken out a mirror and pointed toward the sun to reflect the sunlight. With just a slight tilt of the mirror, you can take some of the sun's intensity and warmth that's beaming down upon us and cast its glow to shine upon others, especially those areas that are caught in the shadows. Now, that sounds simple enough, but that's the simple purpose of bringing the light of the gospel into the public square, to bring the presence, the passion, the teachings of Jesus Christ and our Catholic Church into the legislative arena and into the Capitol back in Washington, D.C. The California Catholic Conference, where I'm the Director of Education, the California Catholic Conference is the official public policy voice of the Catholic Church in the state of California. We represent the Archdiocese of San Francisco and all 12 dioceses across the state. And our goal is really to bring that voice, to bring that perspective, to bring that light into the public square on a wide variety of issues, and to empower you as Catholics to make your voices heard, to make your light shine in ways that you may not think is possible. Now, we cover a lot of issues. We cover immigration, respect life, religious liberty, health care, family life, education. And the issues that we're going to be talking about today really blend together the family life and the education. Go to the second thing. In the world of education, we educate that all children in the state of California are entitled to a quality education, public and private. The Catholic Church advocates on behalf of both public school education as well as private school education. Why? 85 to 90% of all Catholics attend a public school. And so it's very important that we get involved in those issues as well as the 280,000 kids that are in our Catholic schools. And we always do this with a preferential option for those who are most vulnerable and those who are poor. We also advocate for the right of parents to be fully engaged and to direct the education of their child. And we advocate on behalf of teachers, that teachers, we need to have an exceptional teaching force across the state of California, that they're able to teach our kids in such a way that it brings them life in their vocation and gives life to the families and the students who are entrusted to their care. All of this we do. And the issue that we're going to talk about today actually blends a lot of this together. My part of the presentation today is that I'm going to share with you what are the parental rights and responsibilities when it comes to sexual health education in our public schools. What are your rights right now and responsibilities right now under the law? So I'm going to go through this. It's going to be a little bit methodical, okay? And I'm going to try to unpack it more. I'm going to go to actual statutes. But we also have a copy in the back that has these laid out in more detail that you can take home. So let's go to the next one. Okay, next slide. Okay, we'll stop there. Currently, under California law, they must teach children in grades 7 through 12 comprehensive sexual health education. Okay, comprehensive sexual health education, 7 through 12. At least once during middle school, at least once during high school. That's the law. It is supposed to be taught by qualified educators who have been trained to teach this subject material. This is the law. Every time I'm pointing this out, if you think it's not happening, make note, okay? So under the law, they must teach comprehensive sexual health education once in the middle school, once in the high school, 7 through 12. They may do it in grades lower than that if they choose to by individual school district. And it's important to understand right away, there are 1,200 school districts in the state of California. 1,200. Each can be doing it differently. You have 3 counties in the Archdiocese of San Francisco. You have 42 different school districts. Because it's happening in one doesn't mean it's happening in another. And it's going to be your responsibility to exercise your rights to find out what's going on in your school district. Let's get a little gauge here. How many people in the room right now have a child or a grandchild in a public school? Okay? How many have them in high school? How many have them in grades 7 or 8? And how many elementary? Okay. That gives us a gauge as we go along, all right? So that's the current law on teaching comprehensive sexual health education. But it's also in the law, your rights and your responsibility. Next one. Under the law, the legislatures, the intent of the legislature, to respect the rights of parents to supervise. This is in the law. You have a right to supervise the sexual health education of your children. You have the responsibility to impart values on sexual health education. The second part of that law. This isn't new. This isn't something that just came along. It's been around for a long time, and sometimes we lose sight of that. With your right comes your responsibility. And it says in the law that you have the responsibility for imparting values regarding human sexuality to your children. So you're going to need to know that you're not just going in against the wind. This is the wind with you, and you need to use this to your advantage. Now, in comprehensive sexual health education, your rights are threefold. So let's go to the next one. Okay. At the beginning of every school year, the very start of the very school year, you should get a big packet of material. It's required by law. That kind of goes through everything that's going to be happening, from calendars to meal schedules to bus transportation to comprehensive sexual health education. They're usually adopted by a district for all schools. Sometimes a school will have it. But you will get this packet. You will need to read it thoroughly, as everyone does, right? And you're going to have to sign it and turn it back that says you've been notified, okay? There's a lot in there. I taught high school, and then I was a principal for 18 years, okay, both at elementary and high school level. I know we send a lot of stuff home, okay? And so do you really expect parents to read all this? We expect them to read what's most important to them. In that packet are your rights, responsibilities, and the curriculum that's going to be taught your kids in your school. So you need to look at it carefully, okay? So every year you're going to get that. It's going to come back. You have the right to review it, but right now it only says upon request. And so a lot of people don't know that, and that could be a real hassle. If it's not posted online, some have it posted online. Some have it posted online very well. They not only have what's going to be taught, but when it's going to be taught, the individual lessons, and the textbooks. So you can review it. It's your right and your responsibility right now. You need to know what your children are being taught. And you can get it at the very start of the school year, before it ever happens. But you have to take the initiative. And unfortunately, right now it says upon request. We're going to try to strengthen that. We'll talk about that later. Okay? Once you've been notified, once you have reviewed the material, next one, please. Bingo. You have the right and the responsibility to excuse your child from any part or the entire curriculum on sexual health education. Okay? This is the only one where it's this explicit. There's a lot of other things. Your kids probably want you to do the same thing for math. All right? Not going to happen. Okay? So they still have to do algebra. They have to do their homework. Okay? But when it comes to comprehensive sexual health education, you have the right to what's called opt-out. It's very passive. Okay? They're going to assume that if you didn't opt out, you agree. All right? If you don't opt out, you agree. So you have an obligation at the very start of the school year. Take a look at what the material is, take a look at what the lessons are, review it carefully, and opt out of individual parts of that curriculum or the whole curriculum. Now, it's not being consistently administrated that way across the state. I want to let you know that. I'll use Sacramento as an example, because that's where I'm based out of. We've got one school district, Twin Rivers Unified, very close to the Capitol, who does it exactly by the law. They even lead with the idea that parents supervise the sexual education of their kids, and they need to be able to opt out of any part of this they want to, or the whole thing. 5 minutes away, the Sac City Unified says you can opt out of the entire thing or 9 of the 12 lessons. The other 3 you have to be taught. Yeah. We, as the Catholic Church, say that's absolutely illegal. That's wrong. You have the right to opt out of any part of sexual health education, any lesson, if it's contrary to what you want your kids to be learning right now. But you have to advocate your rights. And if they say, well, that's just the sexual health education law. Next slide. Long before the law we're talking about, there was another law. It said, if any part of the health curriculum conflicts with religious beliefs, including moral convictions, a parent can excuse themselves. That was before the Healthy Youth Act. You have these rights. They're yours, okay? But a lot of parents don't know about them. They simply don't know about them. And so things are moving forward that they're unaware of in comprehensive sexual health education. But there is a sequence here. You should be notified at the start of the school year of a policy. If not, ask where it is, because that's in the law. I mean, about everything, from algebra to meals to sexual health education. They're assuming you're reviewing it. And when you sign that form, or if you don't even sign it, you received it, okay? So there's really this burden, this responsibility that goes on parents. Yes, you have the rights, but in Catholic social teachings, rights are 100% fused with the responsibilities. And so you have to assert yourself. And if you think that there's part or all of this that you don't want your child participating in, you can excuse them. Said, it's not very consistent across the state. Some places are better than others. Others are contrary. But that's what we need to know about. This law, Healthy Youth Act, okay, went into effect in 2016. Different districts have been rolling out at different paces. They're getting some of the kinks worked out. And so you have to look at it. One last law, and then I'll take questions or insights, okay? Last page. If for some reason, your school, your child, I'm putting this back on your family, if there's some reason your school, your child is not following this law, you can appeal to the school board. It's called the Uniform Complaint Process. You can do that. And if the policy of the district is in conflict, you can appeal to the Department of Education. And if there's really a problem going on with the district, we either need to change the law or those making the law, okay? Which means we go back to the Capitol, we work at strengthening your parental rights and responsibilities, or we go to the courtroom and try to do it legally, or you just switch who's been elected to the school board. It is the most sensitive group to touch, is school board members. They live in your community, they shop at your grocery store, you can reach them. They represent a very small constituency compared to the legislature. Every member of the assembly represents 500,000 people. Every senator, 1 million people. 1 million people. It's tough to change things at the Capitol, but we do it. We do insert ourselves into the law, and we work on it. But your impact at the local school district is powerful. So we're going to be talking about, Aileen's going to come up and talk a little bit more of the approved curriculums, or the recommended curriculums. A lot of curriculums get recommended by the state framework. They recommend textbooks. It does not mean that a school district has to use them. It does not mean that a school has to use them. That's why you have to find out what is being taught to your kids, okay? And try to assert yourself and assert your rights as a parent. Get notified, review the material, opt as you see your conscience and your values. And if it's not happening, you appeal. That's very scriptural. You appeal. If they turn you down, you go to the next one. They turn you down, okay, we're going to turn them down. Okay, we're going to turn them out. So those are processes that we have. These are the current rights and responsibilities under the law. There's a flyer back there, if you don't already have it, that has all these things laid out. These are citations to the Education Code of the state of California that you can use, that as we work with the Archdiocese, the Catholic Conference works with the Archdiocese to organize you within your own individual school districts. These are things that you can come back to. But before we get into some of the things that have been recommended, not necessarily used, but the things that have been recommended, you need to know your rights and your responsibilities now. And we'll be talking a little bit later on how we plan to strengthen those rights. But let me take a couple questions. You were first, you were second, you were third. And then we'll keep going.
If we're finding that they're out of compliance, can we get the support of the Archdiocese?
Well, you have to, if you assert yourself through the process, it's the decision of the Archdiocese, okay, on how they're going to organize themselves locally with individual school districts. Your school district is one of 42. We need to know to what extent this is happening. You need to let Valerie know to what extent this is happening. Okay, so please contact Valerie, okay, who's organized this here, and Valerie's back there. Hi, Valerie, okay, and she'll have her contact information, I'm sure, is around here too, okay? So you need to contact them and let them know. But as a parent, you are the most powerful person, much more powerful than the Archdiocese. You need to understand that. That's your child. That's your child. And you get other parents in your school, these are your children. And the Archdiocese can help you, and the conference can help you. In this gentleman, that one, now come over there. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that in sexual education, they're going to give you notification at the beginning of the year, definitely between the 7th and the 12th grade. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So that if they don't give you notification that year, you can assume, I guess is probably the word, that year they're not going to teach it?
Well, I would first assume that you're not being notified, because by law, they have to teach it.
So they have, but that's only twice or every year?
Every year.
Oh, every year.
It should be in the district handbook. You can go on the website. I've been on most of the websites. There's a district handbook.
By the time your child reaches the 7th grade, you know it's coming.
Yep.
But you also said they could teach it before that?
Yes, they could.
They should be notifying you, especially in that particular situation.
That is 100% correct. Thank you for clarifying that, all right? And that's an important point. That's why you get the same handbook, whether you're in kindergarten or whether you're a senior, all right? That you're just coming in, you're just going out. You get a handbook. You get some kind of paperwork. You're notified. Look through it. If you have an elementary age child, ask. There was nothing here that's saying that sex ed is being taught in the elementary grades. Is that correct? And just ask. We, as a small group working on the bill that we're going to talk about, have been calling around. Most school districts aren't doing it. They're not. They may have a puberty lesson in there, like probably all of us had in 4th grade or 3rd grade or something like that on just puberty, but they're not doing comprehensive sexual health education. Not the ones we've been contacting. So there's a few, and that's in our favor, because we think if it is, it really needs to be age appropriate. Yes, this young lady, and you, sir. I'm sorry, I had 3 right off the bat.
So, in the past, we had sex ed. Now in the law, we have comprehensive sex ed. Is there a difference? If so, what are the differences?
There really isn't. We had health. We had health that had sexual education lessons within it. Okay, that's where that last statute comes from the health framework. And comprehensive sex ed brought it all together. And it included a lot of things, as some you agree with, some you don't. I think most of us would agree that abstinence should be taught in schools, all right? It's required by law. So if abstinence isn't being taught, you go talk to your principal, okay? Okay, so there's a lot in there. It's comprehensive. So right now, the comprehensive sexual health education is what is required. The framework has more than sex education in it, okay? It could have nutrition, it could have some other things in it. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Is the Californian law acceptable to the Catholic Church or the Archdiocese? Is there any modification in terms of, for example, gender orientation or other stuff? Is it totally acceptable by the Catholic Church?
I would not
We
say...
have our own, as Catholics, our own sexual education as alternative to what is stipulated in the law.
One of the things that we're working on, no, it's not all acceptable to the church. Some of it is and some of it isn't. In terms of which sexual health education, all right, parents who do opt out need an alternative curriculum, okay? Part of my role is working with our Catholic school superintendents and our catechetical directors of parish programs, okay? We're trying to come up, and somewhere in the back now would be alternative programs that are embraced by the church, that if you opt out of part or all, you could use in this particular area. And so we're working on getting that more available for folks.
So is there a legal obligation for parents to have their children undergo sexual education? Is it required by law?
Yes, but you can opt out.
If you opt out, doesn't mean that means you're not going to undergo.
No, it's part of your legal right. So you can.
Legal responsibility.
Yeah.
You have to show that your children were supervised and have undergone sexual education.
No, You can opt out and do it just by yourself as a parent. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
Does mean you do not want them to take the class.
Are you going to explain the opt-out at all?
He does not understand.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm not clarifying that. Okay, can I take this question? I'll come back to that one. I'm sorry if I've misunderstood. Yes.
This is not a question. This past December, my 5th grade daughter completed health education,
I'll repeat it.
and this is her folder.
Mm-hmm.
And in early December, the principal of the school offered a meeting for parents, optional for parents to attend, to offer a review of what was going to be in the curriculum, consisting of 9 lessons over a series of 9 days.
Okay.
And we were advised that under new law updated last year by Governor Jerry Brown, that parents did not have the right to opt their children out of the 6 mandatory classes or lessons out of 9, and the 3 lessons that parents could opt their children out of were not invasive compared to the mandatory lessons that we could not opt out of.
And we would say they are in violation of the law. We would disagree with that. And it's something that you need to appeal to the school district, and if the school district doesn't do it, you go to the Department of Education. But we would disagree with that interpretation of the law.
And there's so much more, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
One of the 5th grade teachers advised that the children, if they didn't feel comfortable talking to their parents about what they were going to learn, they could talk to their pediatricians, talk to the teachers, any adult that they felt comfortable with, anyone except their parents, obviously, to further misguide them, is really what they were saying. So they did advise that the lessons would not be in any particular order. So over a series of 9 days, if parents felt like keeping their children home on the particular lesson about LGBT, since they were jumbled up and we not knowing when it
Right.
was going to happen, that's why they did that. What was really disturbing was that during each lesson, the children watched a maximum 3-minute cartoon video by amaze.org. And there's a series of videos online on YouTube for the children to look at any time, referencing each lesson and more. And I did ask at the meeting if these videos were created by Planned Parenthood.
I know no, she's explaining something. It's not a question, so we're trying to get everyone involved here. So.
Yes, so children are not only being indoctrinated at schools, though.
Oh, thank you. Here, you could use that. They can't hear you in the back. Yeah, there isn't a question. She's explaining. May I summarize real quick? Yeah, could I ask, excuse me, just real quickly. I know because we have other presenters, and I'd be welcome, I could stay afterwards to talk with you about your particular issues. This is a particular issue that her child went through, and it is not in accordance with the law, all right? And I can advise you, if it's not in accordance with the law, and if you have a bad teacher, you can have a bad teacher, you have to appeal to the principal, and so on down the line. But that's not the state law, okay? It's not, they're in contrary to state law, is what I'm saying. And you have recourse. And you have a particular issue that I could work with you on. But we have to be mindful of everyone's time to work at this. And I'll happily stay as long as you want and talk with you afterwards.
Okay, I just wanted to add too, my daughter for this past year had a Catholic school teacher.
Yeah.
And it was advised by another 5th grade teacher that although she was uncomfortable with what the children were going to be learning, they were going to work through it as best they could, no matter what people's religious beliefs were or are.
Yeah.
Was notification given at the beginning of the year that they were going to do?
Her notification said you could, when she was explaining her situation, the notification said, as I'd mentioned before, not all of the lessons. some of the lessons, but not all. And we would argue that that's not correct. Okay, so that's, I know you've gone through it. It has gone through, but that's not what the law states. Yes, sir.
Say 3 more.
I got 3 more, and then I'll still be here, and we're going on. So.
Seems like this is a very relevant topic, and it seems again that the Catholics are sleeping giants. We're the minority here, there's only Catholic people. We need to get this topic in every single church, sponsored by Archdiocese of San Francisco and LA.
Yep.
These laws that we have that veil on our eyes. We need to wake up and pass the word to every single Catholic church.
And in all honesty, you're the first. Oh, do I have both? Oh, sorry. Thank you very much. Yeah.
What did he say?
No, he says we need to get this out across. There's 13 million Catholics in the state of California, okay? And there's 12 dioceses. And we're starting to really organize ourselves. First of all, having you understand what your rights and responsibilities are, being able to change and strengthen the law in those areas, providing alternative curriculums for those who are going to be opting out, and trying to provide alternative curriculums even for the public school districts to use that are more in compliance with more people and more parents in their school. So there is a comprehensive approach, and you're at the beginning stages of it. What Valerie and the Archdiocese have done, you're the first meeting, literally. And this is going to be an ongoing work for us for a long time.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Burnell. I
Yeah.
have 3 short, I hope, simple questions.
Sure.
The first one, and just for clarification.
Sure.
The first one is, you had said that every school had to teach this one time during middle school and one time during high school.
Public school, yeah.
But then you also answered this gentleman that they teach it every year. So I wanted to clarify that. It sounds like each student has to get it once, but the school must be teaching it every year at some level. Is that
You must be notified every year.
Okay, you must be notified.
You must be notified every single year. And it's a new notification, and it may only happen once while they're in junior high and once while they're in high school. It may happen more times. It's up to the individual district.
So that's different, okay.
And the notification should happen every year.
And then the second clarification was that another gentleman was asking about the requirement for sex ed. Obviously, we can opt the kids out of the public school program, but is there a state requirement for graduation for sex ed?
No.
There's not.
No.
And then third question, and then I'm all done, and that is, you said that there's an appeals process. When the children are, or excuse me, if the parents initiate the appeals process, can they opt out their kids while that's being settled?
Yes?
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think I'm being kicked off. It's for the next one. Do I have one more?
One more.
Where's Val? I'm looking for Val.
I just want to clarify for the opt-out. If you want to opt your kid out, does it have to be at the beginning of the year? The reason why I ask is if a school was to try to deceive you and not tell you in time, and then say, oh, you missed the deadline, or can you opt out any time of the year?
You can opt out any time of the year, okay? If it's done, for planned instruction, sometimes there's unplanned instruction, they still need to give you a 2 weeks notice if it's unplanned, but you can do that, okay?
So you can opt out any time.
At any time.
And
There are
then-
the forms too. Some school districts have a set form, others do not, okay? The Archdiocese is working, as you'll find out later today, on a form you can use, okay? But the school district might have one too. That's what you have to find out.
And then you said we have the right to be present, or we have the right to supervise. Does that mean we have the right to attend a class if we wanted to know what we were actually teaching?
There are, within that same handbook, it'll talk about any lesson. A parent can visit the algebra or comprehensive sex ed. You're not necessarily going to sit in. It's going to have to fit into instruction, but you'll have to look at your district's policy again. Parents are allowed to observe instruction, but not at any time you want. You can't just pop in.